Just checking to see whether my condom tip looks condom
Well,
tippy enough.
Need a beat.
We are
Okay.
live and we're back again for the fourth episode of season 3. We have Armand, we have Josh, we have me, whatever my name is today. So I want to quickly jump into this, and it seems like a new-ish topic, but actually it's been covered by Linus Tech Tips on their own podcast. But it was like a brief little ditty that they covered a little bit about it. It's the notion that you no longer own your game that you buy. You buy it digitally, you don't own it anymore. So if they decide to take it down and you don't have it installed on your computer, that's it. No access to it on wherever you bought it, whether it's Steam, whether it's Epic Games, whether it's EA's Origin. Insert some platform to buy games here. Now, before I start asking a few questions and all, I do want to shout out this one YouTube channel that actually covered it in 2019.
Way back
oh,
when.
He covered this guy. It's called "I Just Love Playing Games."
Mm.
I'll link it in the description below. Show him some love, all two of you that watch it. Um, he basically doesn't have that many views, right? It's kind of like a junk channel, so he just dumps all his Persona P3 gameplay and all that kind of stuff there. But this one video has 900 views, and they discussed the topic of, or he discussed the topic of, what it means to own a video game and why people are changing course on this. And I think we kind of talked a little bit about this before, where we're saying games as a service. And if a game is served as a service, there must be some update to this game. And games that cannot receive updates because they're too old or they're out of gameplay and they're not being sold and not being circulated anymore, i.e., old Nintendo games, old Super Nintendo games, old Ultra 64 games, or whatever, you don't get to access them anymore and they don't get to improve them anymore and they can't make money off of it. So why allow people to play it?
Mm.
mm,
I think it's bullshit. I think when you buy something, when I buy a book, if I decide to make the pages stick together, don't ask how, I shall do so myself. If I decide that I was going to tear a page out of the book because I didn't like it and burn it, it's my freaking book. I'll do whatever
Yep.
I want.
Yep.
But I paid $60 for a video game. You telling me I don't own that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Guys, what grinds your gears?
Mm-hmm. Joshua, as always.
No, but so it's not a new thing, right? So apparently, after just reading up a little bit, so it's gonna take place in California first, right? Within the bill, and it's not just video games, but it's apparently movie, series, music, ebooks, and so on. So this would probably affect OTT streaming platforms, like Amazon too. So for instance, like right now on Amazon, you can buy certain movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So apparently they can't use the buy or purchase anymore. And this is gonna, I think Steam has already changed now to put in
Licensing.
a notice, right?
Yeah.
That yeah, it's licensed, but this is gonna affect the PlayStation Shop. It's gonna affect Nintendo eShop, even Xbox Live as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna affect all platforms, and it's just the start, right? California is gonna kick things off first, but it's probably gonna affect the rest of the world too in terms of that. So it's but apparently this is not a. I mean, like you said, right? This YouTuber covered it in 2019, right? So with the rise of digital downloadable content, people start to question: do we own or are we licensing a game or not, right?
Yep.
So what is ownership? So I don't know. Part of me feels that is it the old school way of us thinking that to own is to have a physical copy in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Think about music, records, CDs, and so on. But now it's all digital, right? Via Spotify, via
Mm-hmm.
YouTube Music, and so on. So is there now that there's a call for clarity and transparency, right? From I guess from the governors in California and so on. So is there how does this then set a precedence? Because apparently it's not going to change much, but everybody's going to be very transparent moving forward in terms of what is actually for us now to sort of gain access to, it's a license access rather than a purchase access.
Mm.
But they're not foreseeing it's going to change much in terms of the experience that we as end users get. But again, we come back to, I guess, the topic of our conversation, right? Does putting a new label on it now change anything for us as end users?
Right. I mean, it's interesting that you said that, Joshua, that it won't change how we consume, but the new way is now there's a time limit to how long you can consume, right? Like, I feel like now we are
Potentially.
yeah, right, kind of
Mm.
experiencing it right now, even with Netflix and all the other streaming channels. We go, oh, Mission Impossible is leaving in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But I go, but I paid for your service. Why are you removing this favorite movie from Tom Cruise?
Mm.
Right? Because they go, oh, we still need to update the license from Universal, who owns blah 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 blah. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it goes to show that yes, it may not change how we consume, but again, it's that fear of how long can we consume. Whereas what John said earlier is back then when you bought CDs, you bought cassettes, you bought DVDs, you bought VCDs, you bought tapes.
Mm.
Yes, technically they are lending it out to you because here is the copy of the original that you've experienced. Here you go. You bought for a price, right? It's not you're not owning the masters. You're just owning
Mm.
part of
Mm.
the collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you are able to listen to it, but again, technically you don't own the music. You don't own the movie. You don't own anything that you purchase. It is just a purchase for you, right? So it's kind of interesting when you said that, John, that the idea here is, do we own the music or did we buy the rights to have the music played at home?
Correct. So that's an interesting topic you bring up, right? Like seems like it's an expansion of the rules that govern what you can and cannot do with your copy of XYZ item.
Yeah.
Mm.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and this is, I don't know if you know this, but BMW tried doing this
Oh, yes,
service
yes.
thing where they will, because it's, you see, one of the things that I never understood about the automotive industry, and I'm just going to go off topic here a little bit. It's like, my dream is Mitsubishi only makes Lancer Evos, and Subaru only makes his Impreza STIs, and Volkswagen only makes Golf GTIs or Golf Rs, so that nobody has to buy a piece of shit. Okay? Everyone gets the tip top of the line because that's the only thing that's available.
Yeah.
And the reason why they build these so-called halo cars is because they say it costs more money to put a forged crankshaft, better pistons, blah, 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 a bigger turbo, blah, 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 blah. However, if everything you build is to the tip-top spec, then the price per cost per unit comes down, right? Because now there's no variation in your lineup for cars. It's only this level.
Right.
So BMW decided in all their wisdom that they're going to give you the kitchen sink in your car. However, to operate the kitchen sink, you must pay them a monthly fee.
Yeah. It's locked behind
So
subscription. It's
yeah,
so funny.
you want to use the
The
folding
seat heaters?
Yeah, seat heaters, folding mirrors, something that comes as an additional extra, like the massage chair function or something like that in your 7 Series. You have to pay a subscription for it.
Wow.
So it's a pay-as-you-go model. So if, let's say you don't feel like this month you're going to have a backache, don't pay for the seat massager. It's ridiculous. Because now I feel like the idea of everything as a service is permeated the way we live in such a way that we're unable to get away from this thing where now I can lease a car, right? Like Renault started a lease a car program. You get 3 years or 5 years, but you pay an exorbitant amount of money, right? Because it's way higher the purchase price than it is to pay for a short-term loan or a long-term loan. So you give the car back. You're not allowed to modify it. You use it for 3 years. You give it back, and then you can buy the car at a different price, or they lease it to someone else, or they sell the second hand. This is kind of mentality where companies are going, I need to make more money, more money, more money. It's the same reason why I don't really play my Nintendo Switch anymore. I gotta pay a subscription fee, and normally I don't really register the subscription fee because I had a job, so
Yeah.
they automatically charged me a year's worth of Nintendo Direct subscription or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I realized that this subscription goes only towards playing Super Nintendo and Nintendo 8-bit ROMs, which, like on Netflix, like on Disney Plus, like on Amazon Prime, they cycle through their own content. That means
Yep.
they don't leave the content they own up there as a library and go play it anytime you want. They cycle it through and make you feel like, oh, I didn't get to play this game FOMO. I better keep my subscription on so that when it comes again, I'll play again.
Yep.
I find this to be incredibly predatory. And I get it. Like, you own the stuff. You have the
Yep.
right to do as you will with it. But
Mhm.
something as joy-giving as video games shouldn't come with a best buy date or purchase before or play before date.
Yep.
Mm.
I mean, okay. Speaking of video games, right? Again, let's go into video games. I do want to come back to the car thing, but oh yeah. So we've kind of already seen that happening a couple of years ago. I think it was with the PS4 when people were wondering how come the disc has very little gigs in it, but you have to download like 40 gigs offline
Mm.
to play the game. You go like, wait, I bought the physical copy. Why the fuck do I need to download 40 gigs off their site?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it's already been there because they go, well, technically, that disc only contains 1/3 of the game.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're still kind of blocking you from using it. So eventually, if we decide to pull, let's say, Call of Duty out from the stores, the disc that you have, it's not going to matter, right? And I know that for a fact because I have Destiny 2 on my PS4. I tried booting it up. I go, oh, you can't play it. You have to buy the expansion pack. I go like, what the
What?
shit?
You can't play the game that you already
No,
had?
I can't play the base game anymore.
So Armand, was that okay? Because I never played Destiny, right? So was that because they rushed through development and they were forced to release a physical copy, or that was already the business plan from the
It
get-go?
was really the business plan because they felt like Destiny
Oh.
had legs. So they go, okay, this is a 10-year game. We'll launch the first game and then eventually we'll release. So they didn't call it unfinished. They just call it, this is how much the game is going to be for you when you purchase on day one.
But you paid full price,
The
right?
plan here for the next 2 years is we'll open up more areas for you. So it's not really locking it behind walls, but it's more of a you want to travel to distant planets inside the universe. So you kind of have to pay.
Dude, that's so messed up.
Yeah, that's quite predatory.
It is, man.
No, what I don't understand is, okay, so going back to this whole thing about game file sizes have become so big now. We're looking at easily 115 or 100 to 115 gigs per game. So, you know, like Apex Legends is well over 80 gigs, 90 gigs, 100 gigs now. And I think Street Fighter 6 is not too high. It's not so bad that it doesn't fit on one Blu-ray, compressed, I mean. So I do understand the logic, like, I didn't, and you bring up a really important point, Armand, because I also feel like, okay, I purchase a game and it comes on a Blu-ray and I install it all on a Blu-ray on my console or whatever, and I go, hey, you know what? I have this game and I'm going to be able to play this game no matter what.
Yes.
And then you realize no matter what is not true at all.
Yeah.
Because now consoles need to be always on. Always connected to the internet. So the publisher can say, yeah, you have the physical copy, but we already taken this game down. Sorry, we're not going to give you access to the 80 gigs you need to download to complete the game because whatever's on the disc cannot start.
Yes.
That's fucked up.
That is fucked
It is
up.
fucked up.
It's akin to like forcing people to update to Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah.
It's like, I have the Warcraft 3 battle chest. I have the original discs. I should be able to drop that shit in my computer and play it if I feel like it.
Right.
I
Yep.
should not have to update and then pay a fee and all that, which of course they have amended that. Activision Blizzard has changed their stance on that because of all the blowback, right? Like, people still had their copies.
So then again, the question is, how do we stop it? Because how some people go about it is, unfortunately, piracy.
Yeah.
Right. we go, okay, you're stopping me from buying games that I really want to pay full price for, but you're kind of stopping me from doing that. So my alternative here is, do I pirate said game? But that's kind of going against your copyright laws and all that. But how do I access it then? If you have control of everything, and I, as a consumer, I just want to consume. Here's my money. Take it. I'll be happy to consume. How much you want? $100. Take it, because I'm willing to part ways with my money to consume your content, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're telling me, okay, it's $100 for the first round, subsequently you gotta pay $5 for every play through. I go, then what am I paying for?
Mm.
Right. So that's the biggest question. What exactly am I paying for in today's day and age? Even when we go to watch movies or we go listen to music, even Spotify. That's why I was telling my girlfriend, right? I went back to vinyl because it felt like I can own the music again that I
Yeah.
have, right?
Mm.
I don't have to update my subscription fee just to listen to Arctic Monkeys,
Mm.
right? Right now in Spotify, I'm technically just renting those music. I have a plethora of songs that I can go through with this big library that I have, yes. But do I really own any of this music? Even with Apple, remember 99 cents per song?
Mm.
Oh, really? On Apple
Yeah.
Music?
No, that was in its early days, I think, of
Yeah,
For the
very early
iPod,
days.
right?
Historia.
On
Yeah.
iTunes.
So you could, yeah, on iTunes, so you could buy a song for 99 cents. And that will be in your iPod forever. That's yours. So
Mm.
we were under the assumption like, oh, that's where the digital music wave is gonna go, right? Like you can digitally buy your music, store it in whatever device that you want to store it in, and you can have it for the rest of whatever. But with the introduction of Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, even YouTube Music, everything's all for rent now.
Yeah. Which I kind of agree at. I think it's a bit shitty. Like I don't enjoy that process. In the beginning, I thought Spotify or a game service like Spotify, like Xbox, what do they call it, Game
Game
Pass, and
Pass,
all
right?
that,
Yeah.
sounds like it's a cool thing to have until
Mm.
they start telling you things like, "Hey, this game is not really." And I get it. Maybe modern games they have
Okay.
so many more license issues because,
Yeah.
like, okay, Saints Row has a Hadaway song on it,
Mm.
and some other game has Offspring on it. So how are
Mm.
you going to manage all those digital rights to keep the game live? You'd have to go and keep paying these artists
Yeah.
money so that people can access the content. I think in
Yeah.
that sense, it's fair for the developer to say, "Hey, you know what, guys? We really can't afford to keep this up if only three of you are going to play this game."
Yeah.
And nobody's spending new money on this game. I'm sorry, but we have to take it down. I get that. Someone said
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think we all get that, right? It's
Yeah.
something that we accept because, I mean, again, it goes back to like intellectual property and, creators and artists should be paid their dues through, recurring income of some form
Mm-hmm.
because their creative content is being used in a different medium, right? So that should continue. I think where we start questioning things is, um, and it's what we kind of like alluded to earlier, right? If licensing is going to be used as a source of recurring income
Mm.
for companies, then I think this is where a lot of us have a problem with it, right? Because
Yep.
if they start going on things like, for example, let's say Final Fantasy, right? The
Mm-hmm.
latest Final Fantasy, they just tell you that, oh, actually, this game, we're going to put a lot of effort in this game. We see a 5-year cycle in it. But just to let you know, because whatever excuse they can come up with in terms of developing new content, blah, 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 and everything, but you guys have to pay a renewal license every year.
Oof.
They'll be like, whoa, wait, what? Renewal license to play? I mean, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Season pass, battle pass, whatever. These are all forms of, and I mean, we're not stupid to it, right? We know that, I mean, also as marketers, we know there is a demand in the market for, okay, once someone purchases
Mm-hmm.
or once someone has already gone through the consumer cycle, right?
Yep.
How can we further farm these people?
This is part of the retention plan, right?
Yeah, this is part of the retention, right? Like, how can we get them paying for more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think there are, and I think we've also discussed this in the past, right? There are good ways to do it, but there are also predatory ways to do it, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
I think if you're gating experiences to a large degree, I think that's just simply predatory. But if it's something that you really spend, like for me, I mean, I don't play Fortnite, right? But I don't. I think it's a good thing because those developers really work their ass off, right? With
Mm-hmm.
all of the updates and the
Hmm.
licensed costumes and so on, it makes sense because they keep on putting in the effort,
Mm-hmm.
right? For licensing and so on. So I get it and I am all for it if they want to charge because
Right.
again, it's up to the user. If you want access to this Batman skin, it's up to you, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Or this
yep, yep,
Batman costume. Yeah.
yep,
You get to choose to purchase. We're not forcing you, not gating you away from the experience. It's a
yep.
skin. Just if you want, buy it. If not, don't buy it, right?
Yeah.
But it starts getting to us where if you're closing me off from a certain part, like what you mentioned earlier, just now, Armand, about destiny, right? Like, oh, you can't go to
Can't even launch the
universe
game.
696, that kind of
Yeah.
shit. And it's like,
Uh,
why can't I go there? If you tell
Yeah.
me that there are no zebras there that I can see, fine. I won't pay for the zebras. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't need to see the zebras with like 5 legs. It's okay. That's weird. But anyway, right? But if you're telling me I can't even get there, and it's like, shit, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like I have to pay
technically,
more. I don't want to see the zebras, but I have to pay more to not see the zebras.
yeah,
I want to say like I feel like there's a lot of people online are saying, okay, if it's okay if I have to get used to not owning a game, you got to get used to people pirating your game, as you
Yeah.
said just now, right?
mm,
Do you guys feel like from one thing that escapes me as the most bare bones thing in communication for all these American and British and European okay, all these video game companies are basically Japanese and American for the most part, and then a few European companies in the middle somewhere. A
mm,
Okay.
few indie developers, okay, as well, like Chinese developers and all that kind of stuff. Small houses doing whale content on your phone. But one thing none of these companies know how to do is engage with a proper PR company.
mm,
Because when you present something and say something out loud, nobody's in your ear going, dude, did don't say the first thing that comes in your mind.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
think a little bit about the implications of what we were actually saying here. And one thing that drives me up the wall is that why are
Mm,
video game companies, Nvidia,
mm,
AMD, Intel,
mm.
they're all guilty of this. All three of them, these big tech manufacturers and all that, they also don't use common sense one.
Okay. So to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you say that. But do you think they feel they're arrogant enough to go, whatever I say, people still have to come to me anyway? Right?
In the
Like,
case of your,
uh,
Call of Duties and all that, with all your 10-year-old kids loving to play that stupid ass game.
uh, right? Like as interesting as it says, like, do they even approach a PR company and go, should we say this in public right now? Or should we like slowly chime in into see how hot the sentiment is from everyone and not just go, like you said, the first thing that pops in their head, like, let's just say this.
I'm sure they have a PR team in the masses of people that they don't lay off, right?
I know, but brother, we've been in the industry long enough to know that some people just don't
But
give
we
a
we
crap
okay, but I
ass.
mean, in our experience so far, I'd say 20 years here, and a smattering of close number of years in this call as well.
Yeah,
Have we seen such a PR disaster from a brand that we worked on? Never, hardly ever, right?
hardly ever. Yeah, hardly ever. Yeah.
Yeah, but video games companies, they just have a bunch of dumbasses with their tongues stuck up their assholes saying the stupidest, dumbest thing that comes to their mind. And it just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. I mean, you on one hand, you had that PlayStation guy get up there on stage, he goes, 199. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, 199. for a PlayStation versus $299 for a Sega Saturn. I mean, like, okay, fine. That's obviously not a PR move, but it ended up being a great
Yeah.
PR statement, right? But like,
Yeah.
when somebody once told me that Yasmin Ahmad, part of the reason why all her stuff gets awards is because she PR'd the shit out of it.
I guess it's
People-
campaigning too, no?
Yeah, I mean, you got to campaign, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to come up with content that is more culturally sensitive and tuned to the Malaysian, I don't want to say stigma, there's another word for it. It's like Malaysian condition, right? Of us being so multicultural and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to create ads and films like this, then you kind of do have to PR a little bit, because the fact is the rest of the other people trying to win awards are not trying to win awards this way. They're trying to win awards the Western civilization way, right? Which is like, oh, clever idea with this and that, or use technology, or blah blah blah. But here comes this, woman from Malaysia who's telling a very cultural story, and actually the lessons you learn in there are not just kept within the four corners of this country. You can apply them to any multicultural country as well, right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they can't employ one person who's conservative. You know what I mean? Like, just one person in the PR department go, wait, don't say that.
Yeah, I mean
don't get it.
that's hilarious. So like, yeah, no, I honestly I don't know, but again, we get to see this kind of news day in day out, and hey, without those news, we wouldn't be having this podcast, now would we?
No. Do you know what it reminds me of? Was it American Express that says, like, we're upping our annual fee to $45 a year? And when asked, okay, what does the 45 extra US dollars get you when you use your credit card? Nothing, but it goes to ensure that our quality of service continues to thrive. I'm like, really? I mean, is it offset your interest rate? No, right? I don't understand the logic. Like, people, somebody at the board of directors level has echoed the board of directors and told everybody that, hey, you know what? We're not making enough money.
Yeah.
Annual fee.
Yeah.
Annual fee. And then we'll spin it.
Yes.
What's the spin? Quality of service.
Quality of service, and that actually flew. Right? That actually flew.
It didn't fly. I mean, people didn't like it, but they didn't have a choice. So either they paid off all their debt on their American Express card and migrate to another credit card, which of course we know.
Yeah, no.
This doesn't happen in real life.
That's hard.
You know what I mean? Like, it just so many times people don't know how to window dress shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to accept the fact that, yeah, okay, fine, we do have to pay. We do have to accept that this is a licensed game now and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But, okay, the offshoot question of this is, does it not make sense, though, that, like, if a game has a natural ending, Ghost of Tsushima, Shovel Knight, okay, or Cuphead, or whatever, beginning, middle, end, you can get some DLC for extra levels, cool, whatever, Metroid, blah, 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 all cool. Those games shouldn't be sold as a license, to me.
Yes.
If you told me Guild Wars, Destiny 2, all these other games and all that kind of stuff, they don't have a story mode, but rely on community leveling together and community gameplay together, MMORPGs, okay, kind of makes sense that you want to kill your server and not keep it up.
Yep.
But everything else shouldn't be sold as a license, right? I mean, if there's a natural ending in this game and you should be able to pop it in there and play it anytime you want and go from the beginning of the game to the end of the game happily, then shouldn't you just have that license in perpetuity forever and ever?
That raises a good point, because again, back then games didn't require servers. Back then games were standalone. It was within your ecosystem of whatever console that you're playing, right?
Yeah.
So to that point of, okay, Ghost of Tsushima, is there a need for servers for that game? Yes or no? We don't know, right?
No, by right, you shouldn't.
By right, you shouldn't, right?
It should all install in your disk.
I think there was like a multiplayer expansion that they
Force
I mean,
fitting, round peg, square hole.
Yeah. It is a round peg square
Yeah.
hole thing. Because
Yeah.
then, yeah, single player experience, but again, in this modern time,
See, yeah.
companies try to expand your player base, attract new ones, and also longevity of the title, right?
Yeah.
Then they
Yes,
start stuff like that.
correct. Yo, exactly,
Yeah.
Joshua. Even like GTA Online is making so much money for Rockstar.
Oh
Mm.
yeah. The game is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hasn't died yet.
No,
Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna top this.
but it's such a money maker for them. So that's that question, right? Like GTA standalone,
Hmm.
the game, I can play it. But the requirement here is a lot of people are playing the multiplayer, the online version.
Yeah.
Mm.
So is that then part of the new deal because that's why it's licensed to you because it comes with the other bells and whistles that we technically don't want, but the game comes with. So in order for them to bundle it together, they go, okay, license, as opposed to, okay, you want the single game, you pay. You want the single game with the multiplayer, then you have to pay a subscription. So that I'm guessing from a business point of view, to separate the two would be a bit more difficult. So because what's the definition versus let's just blanket and call everything license, and then we'll figure out what's what.
Okay, I think there's a danger there because when we say license, right? I think if a lot of us who don't read
Hmm.
the terms and conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think
Do we
of
even
in who reads it, right? Nobody reads the shit. Just accept, agree. Okay, anyway. No, but the fact is, right? In our industry, right, within advertising and marketing, right, Adobe Illustrator is something that we license,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
yeah,
rights, right. So
yeah.
here's the thing: when we license, right, we can technically monetize on it, right?
Mm, mm,
So does that open a door for everything that's now licensed to us? Now
mm.
you're gonna start thinking of, okay, does this, now that you guys are officially labeling it as a license,
Yep.
is this gonna open the floodgates to indie one-person developers who will
Uh,
then start saying, okay, since you're licensing this to me, I'm gonna create something and I'm gonna sell it
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I can use your assets because you licensed it to me.
mm.
Oh,
Then
that's
I don't know.
murky.
This is
Yeah,
a
that's
question mark, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
So
yeah,
murky,
correct.
but I get where you're going with it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, that's interesting.
yeah. No, again, I mean it's great, but I think this is not what companies intend to do, right? It's like,
Mm.
hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. So you're gonna create defense of the Asians,
Oh yeah,
wait, hold on. We have to buy you. But it's not just going to be one or two or five people, right? It's going to be
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
whole community. It's going to be crazy.
I think.
I mean, if you think about it, like even with EPL and the sports industry, right? Because again, they license to service providers, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they can monetize that. Yeah. For instance, like
Yeah, right.
national
Yeah,
broadcasters monetize from it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And then can you imagine if somebody monopolizes that? Like, nope, license all Call of Duty have to go through us. I'll start a company. I'll buy the license for all of Call of Duty. You have to buy from me. I'll buy from EA. EA will then license it to me. Then I will sell it to the masses, right?
Armand, maybe we should do that. Why are we doing this?
No, so I think what we were talking about yesterday, Josh, in the Street Fighter group chat, which
Mhm.
is just three people,
Three people talking into the
which
ether.
was the failing of esports is the lack of understanding from the video game developers' point of view. They go, oh my god, esports is a thing. We can start a league and people will pay to watch and charge tickets, and we go to stadiums and wow, Korea. That's a great case study, right? What they
Uh,
don't seem to understand is that how do league media rights work?
mm,
You're absolutely
Mm.
right. We should do another CGS, Championship Gaming Series.
mm.
All right? They bought the rights to broadcast Dead or Alive 4 or 5, I can't remember. Project Gotham 2, FIFA something. And the other game was, what was it? I forget what it was. I think
Uh,
Counter-Strike. It's Counter-Strike
uh,
Source.
okay.
So they bought the rights to play those games at different locations and turn it into a TV show. But Of course, there's not enough thinking that goes into it, and you're trying to squeeze everything into an hour-long television program. It's just not going to work. That's the biggest failing of esports, though, right now, right? Because the people organizing esports are gamers. They're not people who are in the know. When the Owl League was here, Overwatch League, right? They tried to hire somebody from the NFL who understands monetizing media rights, video game rights, broadcasting rights, and earning TV money for it and all that kind of stuff. But what they couldn't figure out is that the idiots at Activision Blizzard have their thumbs up their asses so far up, it tickles their brain, and they don't understand how to listen to logic.
Yeah.
You oversold this thing, and then you go, I'm going to have a team in every continent. And then when they have to fly to each other's countries to play, you realize, holy shit, there's no transatlantic or trans-Pacific freaking train that can do it for 60 ringgit. You're going to fly them freaking economy class or, low-cost carrier. It just doesn't work, right? But to that point, it's understanding what you're getting with the license for the game.
Yeah.
If I'm TNT Sports and I pay a license for the NHL, NFL, and the NBA, as the person who's paying for the cable subscription for TNT, I go, oh, I'm getting the sports, but I'm also getting Wayne Gretzky, I'm getting Shaquille O'Neal, I'm getting Charles Barkley, I'm getting all these notable professionals who are going to commentate on top of what I'm watching, and it's going to make it more engaging for me. So I shall watch TNT.
Yep.
Is there nobody in gaming that knows how to do this? Or is it come down to, hey, you know what? Gaming is our sphere. We own this space. We don't have to innovate because people pay us money anyways. So we just
do whatever we want.
Do whatever we want. Yeah. Money. Hey,
No, but if you think about it,
Duty?
if you really wanna grow it, right? I don't know, maybe we're assuming, right? But maybe the failing of esports in general was that they weren't listening to other entertainment sources who had the experience, right? From the NFL, the NBA, even proper institutions that have had done it, right? So because at the end of the day, what is gaming anyway, right? Because gaming is just what we choose to spend our time with. It's still entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Watching sports is also entertainment. Going out hiking is also entertainment, but it's everything we choose to do to spend our time, right?
Yep.
So again, some of these things should be translatable across from different entertainment formats, right? So is it that they weren't listening, or is it they overestimated the potential, or is it, again, back to what John said, is it just gamers running gamers and gamers don't know shit? So like most of us don't know anything. So
fucking non-PhD sweaty assholes.
people who've never been out of mom's basement trying to sell something.
Not the light.
Yeah. I do have something interesting though when you brought up esports, right? Like going back to the whole topic for today. If you have an established esport movement, right? And then you go, well, next year we lost the rights to Apex.
Okay.
Do we then stop the entire league and then it goes to the other person?
I mean, essentially that's how it happens with EPL, right? Or like, for example, when I want to watch F1 in Malaysia, I used to be able to watch it on Fox Sports.
Yep.
But Fox Sports is now a Disney company, and Astro can't pay Disney enough money to keep Fox Sports as part of the package on the lineup. So they hired Be In Sports. Now, Be In Sports is the one who's transmitting the broadcast. The broadcast, the ownership rights of the broadcast actually is owned by Sky Sports F1. And only Sky Sports F1 allows rebroadcasting of F1. You cannot actually watch another version of F1 broadcast in this country unless you have a VPN and another app competing or whatever and all that kind of stuff for F1 TV or F1 Spain or France or Portugal or whatever. So knowing that, say for example, Apex doesn't like Twitch anymore and wants to go to YouTube gaming. Then it becomes who can pay me the most,
Mm.
right? So the international, right? Dota 2 international, that's a Twitch only kind of game, right? You can EGG Network on Astro bought the rights to show it on their stream with their commentators, but it was trash.
Yep. Yep.
So it works like that. Like who pays me the most for the broadcast rights?
Okay. Then sparks another thing in my head. Okay. Licensing, region lock, Netflix.
Mm.
There are some movies you can watch in Malaysia. There are some movies you cannot watch in Malaysia. There are some movies you can watch in Indonesia. There are some movies you can watch. We've seen that a bit in video games. I think Steam also kind of locks certain regional stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Region lock
But
content. Yeah.
licensing, can they fully then control what goes where now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The different
Seeing
versions
like
of-
Yeah.
so like you can go to Japan and buy the copy in Japan, and then you come home to Malaysia and put it in and wanting to play, but then it goes, oh, I'm sorry, this game is only made available in Japan,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So how does that then work?
I think this happened, for instance, I think it was Nintendo, right? Where they region locked all. This
Yeah,
was like,
region
what,
lock,
10,
yep.
15 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
That was a really.
So actually, they didn't really. I since I have extensive Nintendo knowledge, so they purposely built the games slightly different. So the American version of the games is chunky and it's like square and rectangle and all that.
Yeah.
But the base of the Japanese game is curved like a smile.
Okay.
And that curvature, like a smile, blocks it from being put into an American Super Nintendo.
Damn.
Oh, I
So
didn't know
either
that.
you remove the cartridge casing and just plug the chip in directly, which will play. There's no region lock after that.
Yeah.
But a Super Famicom to play an American game, impossible. The drive itself will not fit the cartridge. You'd have to take the chip
Right.
and put it in there yourself.
Yes.
So
Damn, that's early version of region lock.
I mean, Sega Genesis was even better. You just have to take a pair of snippers and cut the drive hole, and it will fit American copy games. I was like, oh my god, really? It only became a thing moreover when you had a PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, and all that. The region copy protection on a CD is undefeatable unless you have a microchip that tells you I'm region free machine.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're right in that. For example, a lot of games in China, you don't die. You don't die in this game. Because apparently, Chinese people cannot understand the concept of death, or it's incredibly taboo to them.
Wait. Wukong? No dying, man.
Well, it's God, right?
Oh.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
He can be defeated.
He will not die. Okay, yes, that makes
And
sense.
the idea of a save point kind of negates the fact that you can die, lah.
That is true. Okay, so you remember I said I'm gonna bring it back to cars. Okay, so this is me bringing back to cars, right? Why is it that certain countries get certain type of cars? Is it because there is no value in selling said type of cars within certain countries? Club Sport, for instance. I really like Club Sport.
Mm-hmm.
Why can I not get it in Malaysia? And the GTI. It's a nice car. Why can't I get the manual version here? I know it's all about dollars and cents. Like, oh, nobody wants to buy manual. But shouldn't I, as a consumer, have the right to go, can I at least have the option to want to buy one? Right? Because again, them, it's also technically licensing. Like, okay, certain countries, you get certain cars. Certain countries, you get different kind of cars. I go, why are you regional locking my desire to buy cars?
I have the answer for you. Josh, go first.
I mean, I think again, like you said, right? It's kind of linked to licensing, right? Because at the end of the day, let's stop beating around the bush, right? This is all capitalism, right? To how much we can make money, right? So I think in the car sense, it's more. Could be a couple of things. They will tell you things like, "Oh, our roads are not made for it. There's no appetite amongst the people for it, and so on." But at the end of the day, it could most likely be because for them to bring down some, there will be some like yourself and a few others, but we are not driven to bring down for 10 because that costs us money. We want to bring down 10,000. So if there's no 10,000, we're not going to bring it down,
Okay.
right? So that's a distribution reason,
Okay.
right? So licensing also, it's around the same as well, where if there is no demand in this market,
Yeah, see,
then
exactly,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So one of the things that Josh is actually dancing right around the edges of the answer, and it's almost completely right.
Okay.
Not to say that he's wrong. He's not wrong. He's
Yep.
just it's around the topic. So it
Okay.
has a lot to do also with insurance.
Huh.
insurance.
Insurance. So
Okay.
when in car companies are selling cars in Malaysia,
Huh?
the insurance companies are appointed by the government to operate businesses in Malaysia, and they need to understand what the hell was just brought into this country through the port.
Right.
So
Okay.
the inspection process at Puspakon means they have to understand what this is before they legalize it for this roads, whether it meets our conditions for a roadworthy car. Okay?
Mm.
So once
Okay.
it meets those descriptions, then the VW, Ford, Porsche, whatever, will then submit their car after inspection, will then submit their car for sale in Malaysia. However, it is much cheaper for them if they're going to do like this, right? Say, golf, there is three types of golf in Malaysia you can buy: TSI, GTI, Golf R. That's three SKU within one family, and I have to pay three times for this inspection.
Right.
This government officiating, three times I have to pay.
Yep.
Then I'm bringing two types of RTONs. One is RTON and one's an RTON R.
Yep.
Again, I have to pay twice. So, and I want to bring two types of Polo. One Polo GTI and one Polo TSI.
Yep.
I'm up to 7 cars that I have to pay inspection fees for and registration fees for to be sold in Malaysia. Okay, so this, if I sold a GTI or Golf R manual gearbox, that is an additional 2 times.
So right.
Okay, this is my understanding of it. Somebody in the automotive industry who obviously I may have got some of those details wrong, so please do correct me if you're watching this, because some of the guys that are in the Club Sport group, some of them sell cars for a living. So one of my old friends, car guy friends, he passed away tragically like one day. He was part of this Mazda Drive group club, so it was a big thing. They grew it quite successfully, and he told me why there was only 12 Peugeot Sport 308 GTIs brought into Malaysia. He said, in Malaysia, the rules say that if you bring in a series of cars that are the same, brand new, under a certain amount, they can be sold as limited edition vehicles and do not have to pay so much, maybe excise duty tax. And on top of that, also do not have to pay so much in terms of the way of inspection and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And they
Okay.
serve as halo cars. But obviously, if you're selling 12 Peugeot Sport 308 GTIs, literally, you don't have to market it to too many people. If you tell 1,000 people, guarantee you sell 10, right? So Hyundai had this problem because everybody in Malaysia thinks Hyundai is a piece of shit.
Yep.
They brought in the i30N, which
Oh yeah.
they had like 10. They returned 8 to Korea, wherever it came from, and they only sold 2. 2 only in Malaysia. In Peugeot Sport GTI, the 308s, I think they didn't sell all 12. I think they only sold 3 or 4. And that was a great price. It was under 250K. It's a great looking car. Is badness crazy? Is match is a fun thing to have, to say that you have it, but there are not enough people who are enthusiasts to buy these cars.
Yep. Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nice answer on that night.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, going back to the whole licensing thing, going back to what is licensed. Do you guys remember the whole Hollywood strike that happened last year?
The Writers Guild?
Right, Actors Guild, Writers Guild.
Yeah.
They were complaining.
Actress,
Actors and Writers Guild. They were complaining about service rendered and service paid because they feel that streaming platforms are making money out of the work that they've done. So they're demanding that for every streaming service that plays their movie, they should get a piece of the pie because
Yep.
technically they're showing
Mm-hmm.
their movie. But I go, does that mean next time if I fix my air conditioning, the aircon guy comes in, then I have to continue paying him even though he's finished fixing the air conditioning?
No. So it
Mm.
goes back to our Spotify thing at the very beginning when we first started shooting the show.
Okay.
What essentially has happened here is that Netflix is like Spotify, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
negotiate with the production or publisher of the film or TV series,
Yeah.
and this publisher or producer of said film has
Mhm.
said, okay, every time Netflix is going to them and say, hey, every time someone watches Top Gun Maverick, we'll pay you £2
Yep.
or $1 or whatever, right?
Yep.
And then the publishing company or the production house that says, okay, great. Hey, actor, writers, and all the people involved in this thing, like director and all that, who earn points off of sales beyond the production,
Mm.
we give you 10 cents each.
Okay.
But the writers don't have points on the film
Right.
sales.
That's what they're complaining about.
I think it's that because they have no representation of the writing work that they're doing.
I think, right, it could also be because, again, I mean, nobody could have foresaw in the past 5 or 8 years how much like streaming platforms would have taken off, right?
Mhm.
So I think a lot of writers and actors, and then even now gaming is facing the same thing where we kind of deals are made off of what was previously done.
Mm-hmm.
So like it used to be when you created movies, it was to the cinema, and then it goes down to a blockbuster, and then that made sense, right?
Mm.
For that, and then they were used to it, and they agreed to that system. Same with series, like it goes on network TV, so network TV pays a certain amount, royalties, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So I think when they came to streaming, they didn't realize that okay, actually, the pie is much larger,
Mm.
and it cannot be just compensated based on the same rules of
Correct.
TV
Yes.
or yeah. So I think that's where I kind of understand the gripe of the writers and also the actors in that they feel that they're undercut from what
Okay.
Their earning
Yeah.
potential.
what is part of the big actual pie.
And to be honest, like one of our favorite movies, Armand, Predator,
Mm.
is
Yes.
is written by two brothers, right?
Right.
These two brothers who wrote the film for Fox, who then 20th
Mm.
Century Fox then produced it, they only
Mm.
made $50,000 for
Mm.
the script.
Right.
They didn't have any points on the movie at all. So
Yeah.
when the movie did so well and everyone started getting paid after the reshoot and Jean-Claude Van Damme not wanting to be in a suit and da 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 da,
Yeah. Yeah.
what ended up happening is that the movie in the first 10 years of its life was a loss-making endeavor.
Mm.
It only started making the money back when it was on VHS rentals and reshoots or reshows on daytime TV or whatever in the US networks and all that kind of stuff, right? So only then did the people who were earning points off the percentage points off the movie's take revenue started getting checks in the mail because obviously Schwarzenegger gets paid first, Carl Weathers, etc., and the director and all that. But the person or the people that did not see any additional monies,
Mhm.
the original scriptwriters,
It's
they got the
crazy,
50
right?
and that was it.
That's insane.
And they didn't just write a script; they started a freaking
Franchise.
franchise. I mean,
Yeah.
The Predator is a huge franchise. How many films are there? 15 films now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Untold
Yeah.
number
Quite
of comic books?
comics. Yes. Figures and all that. Okay. So I understand. Again, I understand the gripe. I understand. Again, see, John, that's why I say this is very close to me, right?
That's why you're here, bro. I know. The collector in you has many things to say.
Okay. So I understand where you said a lot of, let's say, Century Fox, the big cheese, all the suits, right? Because again, they had stakes. They have placed money towards certain people, towards certain production. It's only fair that they have a plan to monetize whatever that they're doing, for future revenues, right? Whereas when it comes to actors, writers, and so forth, shouldn't it be service rendered? Like, here, I'm paying you for a script. You've delivered said script. Thank you very much. Here you go. Actor, same thing. I need you to act this in my movie. Here's 2 million. Take it and go. Right? Unless they've negotiated like, okay, I want ticket sales, I want video rights. Every time you use my name or use my image, I get paid 2 cents. Whatever. Again, that's part of the manager's job is to find deals like that for either the actors or the writers, right?
Mm.
If you think about it, if I had a company, all right, and I hired artists, they say, hey, bro, do an ad for me. I'm coughing out money for the establishment. I'm coughing out money for payroll. I'm coughing out everything. And then my designer goes, okay, for every time the client uses my ad, I want 1 ringgit. I go, that's not how it works, isn't it? I'm paying you a salary for you to deliver something for me. Why are you asking for 1 ringgit for every time we use your ad? So then the question here is, if everybody starts asking for said things, who's going to stop where? So my fear with this whole licensing thing is going to be the same thing. When you start licensing, means here's something of mine. I'm giving it to you for a set price for a duration of time until set day where I go, no, it's not yours anymore. I want it back. At any point, I can cut you off and all your revenues. Because let's say you've established something like, okay, movies, so Netflix, I go da. What if suddenly Universal goes, I'm going to pull all my library, which is what we're seeing right now. That's what Disney did with Fox.
Yeah.
Right? And they themselves are also licensing some of the movies to different platforms because they go, okay, fine, I'll make a few million here and there, but I'll push more on my own platform.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's happening right now because I see
Spider-Man, right? On Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So they go, okay, I'm making money on Disney. I'm also making money off Netflix because I've licensed my movie to Netflix.
Yep.
Yep.
So the same thing with video games. So can I then go to EA? Like, that's why we should start this, right? We should start a company right now and go exclusive rights to video games of all EA libraries. We'll have to go through the marketing playbook characters Inc. Because we bought exclusive rights to all the libraries, and then all sales within Malaysia has to go through us. Isn't that what licensing is?
I think that honestly, to be honest, I'm not sure whether we should leave this in the video or not because I think it's a great idea. Because one thing these companies don't want to do is deal with the hassle.
Yep.
They don't want to deal with it. So if you remove the hasslement of the whatever problems there might be, then why wouldn't they? It's like, oh, it's not my problem anymore. You handle it. Okay, cool. Whatever. Do you think, man? Yeah.
Your problem, not mine.
You're gonna call out Offspring every time I want to play fucking Crazy Taxi? Sure. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, if you want to cut this out. But I'm thinking.
No. But maybe I don't know.
But that's right there, right? Because again, that's exactly what licensing is. If the moment you say the word license, technically, if those company wants to license to me as an end user, I can then be the mediator for the end user. No one's saying that I can't go through above the end user, right? I can be set provider because all I have to do is buy the rights to your games so I can then distribute to wherever I want to see fit.
Yeah. So, there was a really funny story about Michael Jackson asking Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney. How much his songs cost.
Yeah.
And Paul was like, oh, they're not for sale or something like that.
No, he said 60 million.
60 million, right?
60 million.
And then Michael Jackson went and bought the entire library of Beatles music.
Yeah. And then he got upset and he go like, dude, why did you buy it? Well, I gave you 65.
Yeah. Well, they didn't give the Beatles 65 million. They gave the record company 65 million for the rights to Beatles music. So every time Beatles music's being used, the Michael Jackson estate makes money, not the Beatles.
Exactly.
If I didn't say it before, I'll say it again. Own your masters.
Own your masters, yeah.
Own your masters.
Watch the previous pods
Yes,
to find out more.
I want to touch on the thing that you said earlier, which is the thing about American production companies is that everyone works on freelance. So everybody who works on a production team, with the exception of a bare few people that work for a Weinstein Company or Fox, 20th Century, or Sony are full timers, and those
Yep.
guys normally are the bigwigs. They don't
Correct.
have everyone else is on freelance contract. They're working till the end of the movie's creation, and then some other dude in post production picks up the slack for the post production and freelance. Right.
Correct.
The reason why that is because it's more lucrative if you have a name. It's less lucrative if you're a nobody.
Betul.
So
True.
a lot of actors get told that, hey, I brought you into this world, and these production companies will say, I brought you into this world, I made you famous. You're gonna have to do a few shitty movies for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I mean it goes back to the same thing, right? Like for instance, for like Jack Nicholson
yeah,
during the first Batman, he told them like, okay, if you want me to be in on this movie, you give me percentage cut on merchandise,
Exactly.
everything Joker related.
exactly.
But because he has, like what we were talking about, right? He has the star power and pull at that point in time to demand it, right?
Yeah,
So I do agree with what Armand was saying earlier, especially for guys like us or in our industry, right? It is service rendered
yes,
because it's the reality that we step into. There is no when we are a midstream company like us, it becomes like everything on effort from strat to creative to media. It doesn't matter, right? All in all, this is for a service paid in full. This is it. Our name, the agency's name doesn't even pop up anywhere unless if it's some masturbating session once a year. It's great. I mean, I love it. I would love to. It's great. It's great. But we touch ourselves. But yeah, sure.
oh my god.
Okay, it's okay. It's good stuff. But no, but the point is that I think that is the reality that we all agree to walk into. So I think I mean, after you mentioned that, right, it does make sense that I think if it's what they agree on in the first place, that it's service rendered, you will not see anything else because I'm paying you a set fee and that's it.
Yep. Yep.
That's fine. But if they're making noise and say that, hey, this is intellectual property from me and I didn't agree to it, then that's a different discussion to be had, right? Then we're
Correct.
talking about
Yeah.
intellectual property,
Yes.
infringement, blah, blah, blah. Licenses also gets kicked into it, all these kind of things.
Yep.
But if you agree to it, then I'm sorry, the Predator boys, if you sold it off for a fee, you sold it off for a fee.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's service rendered. Gone.
Yeah.
Predator boys.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a bit sad that is the case.
Yeah.
Right? But I think they did benefit from some of that because I think they went on to continue to write some of the stuff for it.
Yeah. Yep. They did. They did. Yeah.
One thing was really funny was that in the big copybook, there are a few writers inside that copybook that actually were hired by name, not by agency.
Okay.
A client went to an agency and said, "Hey, who wrote this ad? I want someone to write a long copy ad for me that's exactly the same or better. Find me this writer. I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars."
That's cool. That's a nice. That's
I mean,
a nice
back in the day
outcome.
when people used to read, lah.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays they got influencers, lah. They save all that money and pay the influencer to do it. But it's interesting to see, like, yeah. I mean, in that sort of scenario, only the strong survive.
Yep.
There's no room for weak writers and weak art directors. It's only the best at that point.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts, guys. Licensing sucks. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think. I mean, again, if it's down to clarity and being transparent and so on, I think it's fine. But again, it's gonna be, it's always easier to just say buy and purchase. But now, if they can't, moving forward, you're really gonna have to clarify what does licensing actually mean.
And what does it
Because
cover?
if you don't do it, I'm just gonna start broadcasting Smash Brothers, and then we're gonna have to make some money off of it, man. Really,
You're
because
100%
at the end of the day,
Yeah. I totally agree.
because if Nintendo license it to us,
Yeah.
Yep.
they change the stuff. They can't pull down stuff anymore. No, they can't embargo things because
Yes.
if you're not clear with the license.
Yep.
I swear, somebody is gonna come up with a mud cool version and put shit inside Smash Brothers, man. There's gonna be some ice creams flying around. It's not gonna be funny. Oh wait, no, maybe it might be super cool. I don't know. You can have Flying Man in it.
Cool.
Fuck you, Nintendo.
I mean, no, just be I mean, it might be a bigger headache for
Right.
developers, but it's a Pandora's box, right? I mean, if it's
It is what
open
it is
now,
now. They set the table down. They gotta fill it.
no, they
Yeah.
gotta,
Oh man, that sucks. Like, for me, it's the same discussion that we had with the masters. The whole, we're talking about own your music and all that, right? Where again, I'm gonna be posing the same question. Where does it stop? And who is gonna get the brunt of it all? It's always gonna be us. It's always gonna be the end.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
We have no rights.
Like,
you have no rights here.
You have no rights. Like, okay, this is the type of content you need to consume. Okay, but you gotta pay this. Okay, but you also gotta pay that. Wait, hold up. Wait a minute. Oh, you can't do it anywhere else because you do it with us. If not, it's against the law. Ha ha ha. So at the end of the day, I feel like we're just gonna go back to reading books. But again, books are gonna be licensed anytime soon. Anyway, so what else do we have?
Good thing I have a library of stuff I haven't even touched yet.
don't force me to read, man. Don't get forced to read. Just give me a synopsis of things.
Bro, everybody should go and do this, okay? There's a South Park clip about not reading the EULA, the EULA for an iPad, and the whole joke was like, they can do whatever they want, man. You didn't read the EULA, now they own you. And this guy, like Cartman's like, or I think it's Cartman or Stan is trying to run away from the Apple's EULA police or something. They were trying to kidnap them because you didn't read the EULA and you just click accept, and it's like, or is it Stan's dad? It's stupid, but it's so funny because it's so true. You don't know what the fuck you're agreeing to.
Yes, we're like, sure, okay, click.
Yeah. Oh, here's my firstborn child. Ha 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 ha.
We're coming to collect. I'm like, what?
What are you
You
collecting?
didn't read you?
Did you read the EULA? It says we're allowed to take half a nut and half a spleen every 2 years.
Yeah, and also
For the low price of $29.90.
But yeah, but like I said, see, where will it stop, and when will somebody just wake up and go, "Hey, big corporate, stop doing what you're doing. We've had enough."
Yeah, I don't think so. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're out.